For the particular scenario that I'm playing, which is the largest of them, you're starting before the revolt, and there's going to be a lot of build-up for that revolt. That creates some special situations, and I don't know if the second one has any as well. It doesn't look like it does. So yeah, the first one I played did not have any, but this one does. In particular, some special rules having to do with winter. First of all, you don't do a victory phase or a Germans phase in the winter. The victory phase is very important to exclude because at the beginning of the game, the Romans are at 20 victory locations. They only need 15 for a win. But a lot of their legions are off the map, so if they take a little bit of losses, there's a possibility that with significant expansion, I think more than the Averni can manage. The deck is also not evenly divided, which is to say we're starting in late summer, which means that there's less cards than there normally would be before winter is triggered. Some additional legions become available that aren't there in the game initially. The Senate is marked especially, and our Averni leader can't show up until after that first winter. Other than that, there's not anything particularly special here, I don't think. Yeah. So I don't know, I guess we could get started. Let me light up again. All these coin games, 2 cards are available. The first one, Legions 13 and 15. Romans may shift Senate box up towards Uproar to place 2 legions total from Legions track and fallen into Provincia. Or, free battle against the Romans in a region. The first loss removed is a legion automatically, if any, there. No die roll, I guess. The Romans get first choice on this one. And they may want to arrange so that they don't lose a legion from it. And then the second card, which is, this will be the next card play, is Alpine Tribes. And you can see joint Gallic campaign placed up to 3 war bands, blah, 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 in each region adjacent to Cisalpine, gain 4 resources. Wow, that's a pretty good start. Blue is probably going to want to do that. Threaten communications for each region that's not under Roman control, reduce Roman resources. You get to stay eligible. That's another interesting card. So, the Romans probably can't avoid this from happening. So they're going to take this event, or this card, and use it. Now, do they want to shift the Senate box? Well, there is no Senate box. That's interesting. And I don't remember. During the first year, the Senate is not in uproar, nor intrigue, nor adulation, and does not shift. This is interesting. I don't know whether or not I can even play this card at this point, but I'd get it for free if I could. Which is very appealing. Let's look to see what happens with these. Start of the harvest, they take 3 legions into the Any Belgica. So I'm going to have to look this card up and see if it has any special rules regarding it. It says, may shift about to place. See, I would say that this can't even be done. That's my feeling. Unless there's something specific about it, because it says they may do it to do this. And that combination leads me to believe, no, they cannot do it. So we have to find the card number. This is card number 2, I think. And yes, I shuffled. Shift to place the legion must move the marker one box or flip it, so it could not occur if already in firm uproar. I'm going to say because you can't move the box, this can't be, that part of the card cannot even be done at this point. However, the Romans do not particularly want a free battle against Romans in a region. Their first loss removes the legion automatically if there's one there, necessarily. Basically, if I move into here, well, yellow is very unlikely to get a chance to do anything. So I feel fairly safe. Basically, what I'm trying to decide here is whether I want to do a special ability with my command or the command only, which that latter choice would disallow the event. I don't think I have much worry. So now, here's the hard part of doing this on video. A lot of this game's about thinking, and I'm fairly familiar with these, but I'm also not sure what I want to do with this scenario. I look at the situation and I say, well, the Belgica are dangerous. There's no question of that. However, I have to consider all my options every turn, and that is going to make the game very, very difficult, as coin games always are, to describe. And it's usually best if I just step away and look, and come back and try to describe what the hell happened after the fact. So as things stand right now, there aren't a lot of places, for example, that I could recruit. I could get an ally up here, which would help me produce troops in the long run, but and I could get troops here, or an ally, either of which is useful. And let's see, I think I could get troops in both of these. It's not a terrible option to build forces. I probably need auxilia. And if I do that, I don't have a lot of money though. Which means maybe I want to seize. Which would get me some cash. Disperse subdued. And, I haven't faced this situation before with such an empty map or anything. I'm considering doing that. Let me look at the more specific rules or the more detailed rules on the Roman seize action. I'm fucking tired as part of the problem here. So I could disperse, and that would get me some serious cash. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. This may not be the best choice, but I think it's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do seizures, and I can do this in regions with legion, auxilia, or Roman leader. I can't do it here with my fort, but I have an auxilia here. So I'm going to do it in those regions. My special ability I'm probably going to do, I can't do the build I want to do. So maybe I don't take the double action. Maybe I don't take the bonus. But then, seize. Okay. I can disperse subdued tribes at Roman control as desired, up to a maximum of 4 markers. There's already one on the board, unfortunately. But that means I can disperse here and here. These are both in Roman control. All right. And that'll create Aravini and Belgai are rolling for 1 through 3s. I'll roll their dice. We'll do Britannia first. Okay, neither one succeeds. And then in Provence, neither one succeeds. So I get away free. If not devastated, control is decided. If not devastated, gain +2 resources per subdued tribe and Roman ally, +6 per dispersal marker. Okay, so I did this. I get 4, 10, 16 bucks. So that gets me up there. Now, am I doing a special ability? Could be problems here. Every 3 hidden war bands, yeah. So I can't hurt the Romans there. Okay. So that all works. What am I going to do? Well, build could cost me $2 each to put forts or allies into locations. It's got to be a Roman ally or supply line with Romans, or within one of Caesar, and within one of Caesar or with his successor. Okay. I could fortify these 2 spaces. Doesn't sound like a bad choice, right? Let me see. Roman ally or supply line with, or supply line. Okay. Do I have a supply line coming out here? I don't, unless the Aedui are willing to give me a supply line here. Well, if any of the powers were willing to give me one, I could build elsewhere. But as it stands, I could build here. That would be it. As it stands, I can build here and I think there. Right? Roman ally, yeah. So, that Roman ally or supply line with Roman. Yeah, so I could only build here because I don't have an ally here. I'm not sure if that's worth it. Scout, that's not going to give me much. I could reveal these. That would be it. I don't know how worthwhile that is. And besiege isn't going to help me at all. Maybe I want to just protect against this card, you know, and do just the first faction only. Green is almost certain to be the one going, though, because they will not be able to use this card unless someone gives up. I don't know. On a 1 or a 2, I'm going to protect myself from that card. Yeah, I'm going to not do the build action. And that means the next option is green. Now, green could take a limited command. That's a 1-region command. They can't take this card. They have another option, though. They can pass. And if they pass, they get $1. I forgot to mention that when I talked about the rules. You can always pass when you're given an option to go. The Romans get $2 for it. The problem is we're not going to get an action next card. So I'm kind of looking at, I probably want to do something. So my options are to rally, which would allow me to build troops. Here I would be able to, I would be able to get a couple of regions. So I'm going to actually take this action, assuming I have any money, and I'm going to do a rally, and that's going to cost me $2, 1 for each region, and I should take these off the board. And technically I could, these are just, you know, mnemonic devices, but I could put these here. I get free rallies here. This, I believe, is blue. It's hard to tell. And then I do my rallies, and I'm going to grab a base in each of these. And I'm going to put this at Alicia. Weird bit of something there. Put this one here. Weird bit of nastiness there. Like some kind of filth. Probably crap off my finger. Okay. And that gets us done with the first card. These slide into here. This card goes here, and I'm going to mark this with the blue and yellow player there. They have the option on it. And then we get another card here, baggage trains. Marches cost less, or your raids can steal better. And these are interesting for both players, honestly, right, for any side. All right, and we've gotten started at least. Spent 15 minutes doing very little, but okay. We are going to use the Alpine Tribes event. The question is which way they want to do it. One option is join the Gallic campaign and they get 3 warbands or an ally in each region adjacent to Cisalpina. That's 3 regions. That's a good set of forces. They can get control of an area. They can clear out a couple of Roman points, I think, and it sets them up for long-term goals. So I think that's where they want to go. The other side is to take lots of money away from the Romans, which could also be useful because the Romans right now are winning the game. Granted, they're not going to be winning it forever, and it may not be my job to make them do that, you know, to make them lose. And for choosing the other option would be they could stay eligible, and they're the second player on this. They'd be able to deny green a turn or something like that, basically. Who knows? The next card might be valuable to them as well. I would rather take this event. That does open up a full action for the Belgae, however. The Belgae went doing some violence to the Romans. The Romans have to get back to the continent. Baggage trains, not a fantastic capability, but on the other hand, I'm not going to be able to win the game on this first winter. That's not allowed. So I'm kind of a little willing to let the Gauls do some rampaging here before I make my way home. And I also can't use my special ability. Basically all I get is really a limited action. So right now, since I was the first player from this card, I chose to take that capability. It lets me move for 0 resources no matter what. I think I can often... No, it always costs me a couple, so that's going to save a good deal of cash over the course of the game if that capability doesn't get degraded. Green is not going to go. They're going to pass because they want the next event, this Opida. It's a really, really powerful event. It's the hill forts. It's gonna open up all of these. I don't know how many there are. There's 2 there. I guess it's gonna open up 2 areas that they couldn't easily get it to otherwise. But it seems like a tremendously valuable card to them. And if they don't take it, the Adui would certainly take it. Gathering even more force than they have before from their card. And this, I don't know what this is going to do. This is the problem with doing this on video. Every card is interesting. Thrust at Narbo checked. Either remove up to 6 Arvini warbands within 1 region of Provincia, or place up to 5 Auxilia in Provincia. That's a powerful card too. And if Arvini successor is on the map or available, Arvini place him anywhere, symbol up as if Vertigorix. So that's kind of cool. You get to, if you've already lost your leader, you get to bring him back. Now, I don't think that applies in this scenario. I don't think I can bring this secondary leader into play in this case. Army are starting to expand, obviously, getting those hill forts. The Adui did a couple of things. They did a rally, giving them some more pieces. They're always kind of short on pieces, and their rallies don't tend to give them much. They have some additional special abilities like Suborn that are pretty good, but I didn't really have the cash to start expanding my forces with that more expensive methodology. So I used trade, which got me up some additional cash. Basically paid for my rallies. And the winter card comes up, which is a big deal because this is now frost. Nobody can march this turn. That's bad news for the Romans. I was kind of hoping to be able to get across at least before the winter started. Caesar can go home, but I got all these forces stuck in Britannia for the winter, which is going to be kind of painful to tell you the truth. That's going to cost me some bucks. I got plenty of money, but whatever. Let's finish up the winter before I finish for the night. I'm feeling a little bit more like, what the fuck, man? Why don't I play games? I like playing games. Yes, I know. I've been kind of avoiding them. The thing I shouldn't be avoiding, of all things, it used to be the thing that I avoided other things to do. But, I'm kind of like, screw it, man. Let me just try to enjoy them as much as I can. And if it hurts the videos, fuck the videos. I was playing this on my floor. I had a good time. I started worrying about, geez, I'm going to hate fucking videoing it. You know what? I think my videos were better when I was enjoying the games more. I started getting too involved in, let me show more, let me show everything that's going on. Screw that, man. There's plenty of people showing everything. For winter, the first thing we do is we check victory. Nobody marched. The Romans took their event, grabbed themselves a bunch of auxilia. The Belgae, what the fuck did they do? They did not take their special advantage. They're allowed to enlist some Germans. Now, enlisting these doesn't really help me, but I can enlist these and move them down here and get them the hell away from me. Except they can't march. Crap. Yeah, there's not a whole hell of a lot I can do with the Germans here. We've got nobody to attack. I don't want to raid. I just don't want to take an action because I can't do the march. Yep. I could rally and create more Germans, but right now I do not want more Germans. I actually found myself in that position all game last time. The Belgae really didn't want more Germans, and they have the ability to, activate the Germans, and they can use them as kind of a buffer if they want, but it's not very effective. Okay. They couldn't march because of the frost. So let's start looking first at the victory. We're not going to do the victory this phase, but I'm going to calculate it just so you can see how that's done. So we take a look at the first here, and he has 6 regions under control, and there are 7 legions off the board. So he is not meeting his requirements. He needs the 7 legions on the board, but he needs at least 8 of the 8 tribes allied with him, including cities that are citadels. Okay, so his numbers are correct. The Belgae, I just counted these, but I'm good with that. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 for areas under control, plus 6 for the regions, for the tribes that he has. That brings him to 14. That's good. The Germans don't get to win. Let's skip the Romans for a moment. The Aedui. Okay. The Aedui right now have to worry. This and this both have 6, so this goes up to 6. That means I would have to have over 6 clans allied to me. And obviously I don't have that. Now for the Romans. For the Romans it's a little trickier. There's 30 tribes total on the board. 3, 6, 12, 15. I don't count those because I've got them. I lost my number. 12, 15, 19 of them are under, well, other players control. That means there should only be 11 Romans. I don't know why my numbers are so wrong. Let me see if that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's another one down here. Yeah, I just haven't been reducing the Romans as much as I should be. So they also would not be winning. Germans would normally get to do some actions. We'll see that next year, which may not be this video. Quarters, everybody's going to have to go back to quarters now. This is something I need to actually look in the rules every time that it comes up. Okay, first the Germans. If they're in devastated regions without German allies and outside Germania, they have to relocate. I don't have any such situations. There's no devastated spaces on the map. The Gauls. Each of the Gauls is a player, so they get to make their own decisions here. We do the Belgae first. They can relocate to adjacent regions without devastated and under control, or factions that agree. And then if they want to stick around in a devastated region that they don't have a tribe in or anything, they can make a wall. Right now, I kind of like the positioning of everything. I barely got control of this, but I'm a little worried about the Romans landing up here. Of course, I'm more worried about them here. I'm worried about the Germans coming in. I'll move one up there to face the Germans. We're not going to be able to prevent an ambush. Oh, the Germans don't come this turn. Okay. Then we will move here. Yep, can't give up control. We'll move here. That, of course, makes this more appealing. Yeah, okay. I don't know. It's a close call anyway you want to look at it. The next one is the Aedui. Well, the Aedui are in pretty happy space, with the exception of, I don't really like these guys back here. They're not doing me any good. I'm going to pull them back to there. These guys, they can survive there. But clustering forces is useful, but then again, having defenses, if I end up getting this, is also useful. I'm going to stay as I am. I'm going to move one more down. Okay. And then our final is the Arverni. We don't have a lot of bands, and this is kind of a problem. I have to worry about Rome coming in this way. I have to worry about Rome coming up this way. I will move forces all to here. I've got room to expand over here. Seems like a good idea to me. And that keeps me all my controls, I believe, which are important. Okay. And finally, the Romans. The Romans can relocate their legions, auxiliary, and Roman leaders to adjacent undevastated region under Roman control or control of a faction that would allow them. Well, there's no such thing. This is not under control. These are Belgae. They do not want Romans in their territory if they can avoid it. So these forces aren't moving. Could these move forward? Yeah, you know, the Aedui could allow them to, but they'd rather say, hey, why don't you go carve out your other side, and I'll give you a supply line up this way, and you're in good shape. Okay. Gee, thanks. Thanks for nothing, assholes. Okay, so they're not going to move at all, and then they're allowed to move, as far as I can tell, along their supply lines as much as they like. That's not going to happen, but one thing they are allowed to do is they're allowed to pull Caesar all the way back, and I want to do that because I get more auxilia that way. And that'll make it easier for me to save those forces. Okay, the next thing we go to is the harvest phase. Now, there's special rules in this scenario regarding those three legions. I think they just show up in Provence, but I'm not sure. Into any Belgica regions. Oh shit. Oh, I don't like that. maybe I don't want Caesar to not be available if that's the case. I may want to leave him up here. That's going to hurt me in terms of total troop strength. But I place here, and I take this away from the Belgicans, the Belgae, and that may have some advantages for me. Okay, but the rest of harvest, the Romans get resources equal to their current victory score. That's 11. We haven't spent anything, so we're doing good. There is a hard cap limit of 45. The Gauls, they each get equal to the number of allied tribes and citadels they have. With one exception, the Aedui get a few more. So that's going to be $6. $6. And the Aedui get 4 plus 4 is $8, which makes them the richest. Now we're in the Senate phase. Again, special rules for this scenario. Normally what would happen is you'd fiddle around based on the victory point conditions, but I believe in this scenario it just drops into the intrigue space and doesn't move. Put it in intrigue not firm. Now at this point I would get legions and auxilia. So half the legions in the Fallen Legion box would fill in this. If I was down here, I would get these. I'm up here though, so I only get what's here. There aren't any there for me to get, so I don't get any additional. However, his victory point card, just for tracking points, goes down to 4 instead of 7 because those 3 additional legions showed up in Belgae. Yeah, I really wanted to get down on the continent, I guess. And I don't know what the next card is. Everybody's going to be available, so it's kind of a shootout. What happens with those legions? They may be in trouble. Okay. And if I had a leader in Provence, I would get a pile for extra auxilia, which would be a really good thing. This is a really hard choice, but Caesar is very important, and I don't want to lose legions. Losing legions is a bad thing, so I'm willing to play for time a little bit here. I hope it works out okay for me. Like I don't lose the game in the next year just because of this. Okay, successor leaders could now come in the spring. Now, again, there's a special rule for this scenario. The other scenarios don't have this. This one starts out not in the midst of the fighting. Arveni can place Vercingetorix from the spring box onto the map, but that's kind of at any time. So I'm going to hold on to him. He's going to appear when I need him, if I fucking remember, rather than right now. Fallen legions would go into the legions track. Scouted markers go away, devastated go away, dispersed gathering markers. Okay, so this flips over to gathering, and so does this. That means next year those will be available for people to populate, but right now those tribes just don't exist. Essentially, they exist for one thing: they give the Romans victory points. All factions become eligible, and we prepare for the next turn. That means we're going to need to mark the winters that we've passed so that we know how much time we've spent. I am going to put these cards somewhere to mark that first winter. You know what? I'm going to put a winter on top of them. That's going to help me keep track of time and see how many cards in each deck, because at some point or another, when we get down to the bottom of the deck, if we get that far, if the game doesn't end before that, the Romans, or the players, are kind of worried about, hey, how many cards before we're likely to see a winter card? And that means we start over with another set of cards. And these new cards are Ultramarine warbands to hidden, then conduct. Oh, I forgot to do something. All these warbands are hidden now. I don't remember which stage that happens in. I think it's the spring. Yeah, and that's all there was. All Germanics to hidden, then conduct an immediate Germans phase as if winter, but skip March, and all Germans ambush. Which, this would be really terrible for blue. Is he worried somebody's going to do it? Maybe enough to make sure that nobody can take that event. He's almost certainly going to take the card. Use the first action on the card, because the next card he only has a second action. However, the Bell guy might hold off. Place 4 German warbands, each in Nervi and Treveri, which are here. Then conduct an immediate Germans phases if in winter, but skip rally. That I almost certainly do not want to have happen either. That I'm probably going to prevent, because the Romans, who, if blue takes this, will probably be going second on this, might well want to trigger that event, even though they want to get across too. So, it's kind of tricky. All right. And that makes it, I hope, bedtime for me, although my sleep schedule is so fucked up recently. Kind of interesting, as the winter ends, we get into the beginning. The next two cards both involve a lot of action by the Germans. Now, both the Adui and Belgai control both of these cards. Neither one really wants either to happen. The Adui are going to get smashed by this. The Belgai probably going to get some trouble. It's not guaranteed, but they cover the most spaces. The Belgai might get lucky, in the sense that the Romans might get attacked instead if they go up here. There's a possibility the Adui get, that the additional forces go in to help attack the Adui down here. But it doesn't look very promising. What I'm thinking is that they might agree, okay, I'll go first, you pass, then you go first on the next one, and both of us prevent these damn actions from happening, because they're both kind of random. They're not like you get to control the Germans. Of course, the Belgai have the option. If they take their action, the full action, they have the opportunity to direct the Germans to some extent. Not much. They could send this big force down or something like that. But it's still not really enough, I don't think. Especially since the Adui get the first shot here. And then whatever's done here, that would be an interesting option, is to just send the Germans away. But I don't get the opportunity of sending them away and then they get triggered, even somebody else triggering them, because the Adui get the first shot at doing something. So I'm not going to get that secondary ability to send them away. So I think the Belgai are willing to accept this. So yeah, my plans for sleep didn't work. Always with the coin games, if you take that deny the event from happening ability, you sort of limit the activities that happen over the course of the turn. So with two of those happening in a row, we get the Romans moving into Belgai now, and they grabbed control. But for the most part, not a lot has changed. A little bit of growth. That's it. The Lost Eagle, that's not going to make a damn bit of difference, because there are no fallen legions yet. That's kind of a shame. That's kind of a neat way to decrease the potential size of the Roman army for the rest of the game. And then what's this other one? We allowed to bone one of the Gallic factions with a citadel, which is the blue and the green right now. On the other hand, Iron Miners cause siege disaster in a region with Viverni Citadel. Remove a total of 2 legions and or auxilia. Okay. That doesn't look like it's going to have much effect either. It's possible that the Romans want to take a lot of cash away from, say, the Averni, and that's tempting. However, our army is up here. Oops, we lost control. we don't really care too much about control of Britannia. It's hard to get to, hard to operate in. So somebody has to kind of go out of their way to get up there. It's not that expensive. You just have to send one unit over. But garrisoning it when I don't have a lot of auxilia doesn't seem like a good move to me. Ended up paying a high price to use their special ability to grab one Dewey element, but not at as high a price. I screwed up. Fuck me. Okay, so instead of $3, I should have paid 2. I did a full command for the Dewey, and they didn't deserve that. That means what? I have to try to I think there was only one here. No, I think there were 2 here. Here, and I think I moved one. I don't know. So let me get these control markers. I'm guessing. I don't feel like going back on the video and trying to see. So now the question is, what one space can we move from that does us the most good? And I'm not sure what that is. I only get to move from one space. I could grab control here, which is appealing, and pop a guy in there. That's also a positive effect. Pop a guy in there. And I'll do this instead. So yeah, they still do not really spend it didn't cost them anything. Okay. I was completely mistaken. And let's see what our next card was going to be, a Warfleet. So this one's kind of impressive. You can shift around basically anywhere at sea to anywhere else at sea. This can be a quick move, so the Romans could move their entire force, down here if they so desire. I'm not sure. It looks to me right now that to Rome, the Belgae are a bigger problem. However, I don't have a lot of auxilia up here, so I feel kind of exposed. A little game of tit for tat. The Romans take whatever this is, Morin, away entirely from the Belgae. They did a retreat, however. The Belgae returned it by destroying beating up a couple of tribes of a Roman allied to get them on the other side, but, well, not on the other side, but to open them up so that now and then our rally can get them in there. However, that doesn't affect Roman victory points, and the Belgae are kind of falling behind. The Romans are actually getting close to their victory point goal, which is that 16 points, and there isn't a lot in their way other than the Belgae right now, except that, of course, the Averni are positioned to grab a lot of clans at this point. Changes the situation of, hey, you want a lousy event that you can't use, or a limited command. So now the Aedui, who are in the second position here, but they are the top out of the 3 people who have it available, be able to take a more impressive option. And the next one is going to be a migration. Wow, we're getting a lot of German crap here. German rally in March from up to 2 regions. A Gallic faction moves its warbands and leaders desired to a region where no control. Okay, this allows you to jump across the board, which is pretty damn impressive. And there's going to be 2 people who have it available. If probably the Belgae are going to be the other one, and they have first option on that. That can be pretty nice. That can allow them to move into Britannia, but they won't gain a clan out of that, so it becomes kind of less valuable than it would otherwise, especially since they're kind of close and can do it anyway. So let's see where we go. You're in kind of an interesting position where they may want to give the Romans an extra option. In this case, the migration card is up. That could hurt the Belgae and the Aedui quite heavily, positioning things further on. The migration, though, is only a rally and a march. That's going to create more forces. And I don't remember if you have control over where they get marched, or if it's just a random, just like as if it were winter. I gotta look that up. Controlled, I don't know how much difference that makes. I'm a little worried about Elysia being exposed here, so I don't know if I really want to give this. In order to give it, I have to pick. I'd basically be paying $1 to grab this warband, which is a useful thing. The Aedui are really fucking with me up here. I mean, they're grabbing territories of mine using their suborn powers and stuff like that, and it's like, I really don't like it. But I kind of don't like giving an ability for something so small as this. I'm probably going to do another rally, though, I think, because I still got a clan I can grab here and a bunch of troops. Do I have enough money to do a useful rally? I'm down to 4. I wouldn't get everywhere, so I'd probably leave this alone. And that left me not enough money to do another action. I don't know if I'm allowed to say I'm doing another action, not spend for it. I think I can, but yeah, I'm not going to do that. And anyway, it doesn't really matter. The Romans actually probably want the Pompey action. Pompey. That allows an extra legion in Provencia, or the Senate box goes down to adulation. That may not matter. Getting the box down to adulation in the midst of a game turn. I did this last game, and I was like, oh, that's so fantastic. The problem is this, but this doesn't do anything for me either. So honestly, that event doesn't do much as an event in the game. The reason moving it to adulation doesn't matter is you get the troops during the Senate phase after this shifts. So given that this is in intrigue already, if things were bad, it would be an advantageous card. But given that this is in intrigue, I can move to here. Now, if I'm already up in adulation, that's great. Ooh, it may protect me, though, because my numbers are looking pretty crappy. Anyway, either way, I would rather have a full action than a secondary action. So that puts me here, swaps things out. And we get to see what the next card is, which is Corius. Get rid of a lot of Belgic, or Atropodes, the Belgic, get their way into there. They're already pretty heavy there. It's the temporary excitement that I had when I was playing this on my bedroom floor, and that sort of translated over to setting it up here and playing again. Has all faded. It's nothing to do with the game. I think it has more to do with geography than anything else. No matter where I'm playing, it's either up here or down in my basement. I'm on a different floor. It's not a simple walk by to see the game, but also, you know, I'm in the midst of a depression, and I don't like to leave my room. I don't know if it would matter even if it was set up on a table in my room. There's more effort to this than just sitting there in my chair screwing around with video games. And so one of the games that I follow, it's a horrible online thing, I don't want to talk about it at all, I've refused completely, is it has like an event going on, and you know, that draws me in and makes me want to play more of that. But even before that started, while I still had sort of an excitement for this, I couldn't convince myself to come up and play. grabbed a couple of games on God and ended up playing one of them that, again, I don't really like it. I'm not getting anything out of it, but it's wasting my time, and I'm not, coming up here. Otherwise, I'd probably be reading, or watching clips on on YouTube, like old sketches and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, at least I've kind of identified the problem, and I'll try to muddle through this the way I did with, like, one card per day or whatever with fucking Gloomhaven. I'll try to get some of it done. And in favor of the Romans taking the Pompeii event is, I would move it down here. That protects me against the losses or the bad situation I'm in, reducing this further up to uproar, which is problematic. We'll get less reinforcements that way. However, it doesn't solve the base problem, and I feel like that's a worse option. Now, for someone else to do something, yeah, no one can do anything terribly to me with that card, so I'm not too worried about that. So I'm going to use it to try to affect something. I'm not sure what. Got an attack available at least. Caesar gathered his forces and did some scouting. Then put a scout marker on these guys. The Aedui didn't necessarily want to go. They could take that doesn't really help them. But they could take a limited command. They could have taken a buck instead. The buck would normally be good, except I looked at this card and I'm almost certain the Belgae would take that card. They want that card, or even if they didn't, they probably want the full effect, so they're going to pass anyway. So I'm not going to get an action there, and I won't get second choice, so I may get to do nothing, not even get a buck or whatever. So I felt like doing even a limited move, get the scout marker off my counters. If it wasn't a scout marker on there, if they were just revealed, I would have pushed up into here to give me more flexibility, but as it stands, it makes more sense to get that off. And circumvallation, this is, you may free march to an adjacent citadel and put a circumvallation marker around it. The marked group may not move from the region of that faction. You've got them sealed in. If it attacks alone, the Romans defend as if they're in a fort. If the group does attack, the circumvallation is gone, and the Romans, if the group attacks Romans in battle, or if it's eliminated, or if the Romans leave completely, the circumvallation goes away, but you could hold them in place kind of with one unit, which is pretty weird, but whatever. Like an auxilia unit or something. It doesn't seem quite right. Anyway, onward. And the Belgae take command only. There wasn't much for them to gain off this card. However, they don't want it played. They'd lose forces if they did. So they collected up some cash with the raid operation. And I think the Averni are going to pass and take a buck. The reason being, next card up, there's a good chance, yes, I could get out of there at least, but there's a good chance that the Romans are going to actually use that against us. If I leave, I don't know how much it really helps me. It's not that hard for me to get warbands back. Although that's a lot of warbands. Shit, I don't know. But I have no money, so I can't move. So I kind of need to do the pass. That'll have three of us on an option on that card and this card. I don't know what the hell that does. Let's take a look at it. Laude. Legion formed in Gaul. The Romans place a legion in auxilia in a Roman-controlled region. Right. Locally raised legion unreliable. If the legion's track has 7 or fewer legions, remove 1 to the track and 1 auxilia to available. That's not a good card. The Romans don't want that to come up. They may actually pass on the circumvallation because of that. because we're kind of weak. This might be going up here. We might be back on a Legion for next year, and that would be problematic. One thing, like before when I was playing this, at least I'm kind of enjoying playing this. Unlike Gloomhaven, which was just not serving anything. It was too much thinking for too little payoff, really. Stuff where I think this game gets really cute. The Romans can't afford to take this because they have this card coming. I like that kind of decision making. It's opportunistic, but it also makes sense. It's this situation of, oh, we had plans to do this, but now we see another opportunity arising that would spoil our plans to take advantage of it. We'd have to. We don't have the resources to do both. Essentially, all very abstracted, but this is what we need to take care of. If that's the case, then we have to pass here, get a couple of bucks. Great. That left our Averni in a position where, well, maybe we could do something. Not a lot of money, so we did a raid action, which collected up a decent amount of cash, including stealing some from the Adui and the Romans. The Adui were dropped down to 0 again. They end up doing a pass because they get second choice on this, where they're certain to get another activation. So this comes back. I like the way the mechanism works. It seems to feel right. Either, there's sort of a strategic side to this game that applies to coin-style games because you're fighting sort of a whole gestalt operation where these kind of decisions seem to fit well. Now, honestly, and I've said this, I think, in the intro, I really think the coin system could be used for non-counterinsurgencies. I know that some people, the people most associated with it, kind of gasp at that, but, as long as there's different capabilities, it makes sense to use this pick system with the cards and everything. Even if there aren't, it doesn't really affect you to say there might be some shake-up in the operational in terms of when operations become available to you. And crafting of this deck, it's just, it's a mechanism. Like Hex and Counter, CRTs as a combination are a mechanism. It's not really definitely tied to counterinsurgencies in that way. The particular capabilities chosen are, but you can see in a game like this, the particular capabilities are a little different than they are in a modern counterinsurgency. Okay, what do we got? Chieftains counter souls. Leaders convene. Select a region with at least 2 non-German factions pieces. That includes Romans. 2 or more player factions there in above order. Look at the next 2 face-down cards. Then either execute a free limited command anywhere or become eligible. This is a weird card, and I'm not sure. I saw it in my last game, and I'm not sure how to use it. Chances are, though, whoever's got it stacked will. The Romans, they care about this a great deal. Do they want the action, or do they want to prevent the other action? I think taking the action is of value. Although an attack at this point might be really, really useful. We could blow away a bunch of victory points and get ourselves up to where we're not falling behind. So that's a hard call. The call is, hey, do we want this? Do we want an extra legion now, or do we want to be in a position where we're not going to lose a legion? Where if we lose legions, we're going to be able to replenish them. And I don't know the answer to that. There's not a lot of danger of either of these powers winning the game at this point. It's the Belgae I have to worry about. Doesn't look too terrible, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 victory points sitting there for them. That would get them up to 16, which is within their victory condition. So if they can do 2 rallies, they win. However, clearing all this crap out would make an advance into the Belgae territory a little easier for the Romans. How am I ever going to get a Legion, though? And then there's the contributory effect, which is we'll probably be doing the Besiege, so no matter what, this isn't going to matter, but which is that we'll be allowing... Ooh, no, we don't want to do that, because we don't want to give somebody a chance of pulling a Legion from us, so we don't get the minor. We'd only get the attack itself, so we wouldn't be removing the fortress. That causes some definite issues. I kind of want the Legion. I don't know. This is a hard call. What I don't want is him to hinder the Romans. I don't know that he would. He kind of needs the Romans in place to keep other people in check. That might be part of the decision here. Not sure if I did the right thing here or not, but the Romans took the Legion in part because I wouldn't be able to do the besiege operation safely. Although I could wipe out pretty much everything that's there, and that would have put me in a much stronger position. I think I would actually kill one of these too. Okay. That put it over to the Aedui, who gathered a lot of money. Combination of a raid and a trade operation. And the trade simply because Suborn wasn't going to give them much. It would cost them cash. So they got their cash back up. And cost a little bit to, I don't know, to the Averni. That moves this over. And the new card is Lutivicus. Averni plot thwarted. 2 Averni war bonds get replaced with a Aedui, and resources get handed over. Or a free battle in the Romans using Aedui pieces as your own. Ambushing is able. I don't know how big an advantage that is. If you're going second and using the event, it might be useful. So for example, if the other person takes this, you have a chance at a limited command. That's all you might be able to do anyway. Or if there's a lot of Aedui pieces in a space that you want to attack in, that could be useful too. They can take your losses and stuff like that, so that's kind of valuable. All right. So this is the first time I've done this. In my other game, I didn't do it at all. The Averni, nope, I failed. They had to have control first. They did not have control. They could not have gotten control. Screw me. Okay. So they had 3. I think 1 was exposed. I don't know for sure. And we had, god damn, 2 more here. All right, so yeah, I fucked up. This is what happens when I walk away. You know, I lose contact with it. It's such a hard command to get off correctly. So yeah, I grew my thing, and I guess I'll entreat for my last buck and grab a Roman auxilia. I thought I was wiping out all their auxilia by doing it, but I actually couldn't do it the way I intended to. And you can only do it if you have control, and I didn't have control. So I did a rally, whoop, 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 and then grabbed an extra piece, which now gives me control, but I don't get to wipe out a bunch of Roman pieces. Since I wanted to do that event is the event that followed up here, which I couldn't do basically because the Belgae had no limited action, or no places where they shared with anyone except for the Germans, is that it's hard to get limited actions off. There's a lot of times where I want, not limited actions, special abilities. There's a lot of times when you want the special ability, the secondary capability, whatever, and the command is less important. And I often find that to be the case, maybe not so much with the Belgae, but with a lot of the players. And it would have kept me active, although the next card, or the next card coming up, I don't terribly want to be active for. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck this card does, but I just saw what this one does, which is good only for the Aedui. It gives them a capability to do some growth within range of a Varicum. Now somebody could steal a Varicum, but then they probably won't have another action afterwards. I don't know how valuable this is, whether it's worth delaying this card. Averni plotted within each of 2 regions, replace 2 of their warbands with a Dewey warbands, 4 Averni resources to a Dewey. Wow, maybe I didn't want to take my turn with the Averni. Oops. Again, the problem of walking away from the game. It's hard to keep track of the game state because these things are always special, and I'm not really all that aware. But yeah, I think I'll probably take that, although this one is appealing. And I'd be able to bone people with this one. So what do I say? Varicum is your ally or Citadel. I would be able to replace an ally with a Citadel. Do any or all of these with your pieces within 1 region of. Place up to 2 allies, replace 1 ally with a Citadel. Okay, so here's the problem. I don't have 2 allies within range of this that I can place. So I'd be able to get a Citadel here or here, either of which is intriguing. And then I'd get 2 resources. And I don't know if that's worth delaying an action for terribly. Especially since I've got this sucker, which I think is worth it. So we'll do that. Each 2 regions replace up to 2 Averni warbands with a Dewey warbands, and then we get some money. Well, I'm going to pick these 2 spaces. Because that takes, and I don't know why I'm on video, just to make myself more miserable. And I don't remember what was face up, what wasn't either. Okay, and the control here went away and switched. And I don't know, I think it was that. Because they just grew. Okay, so that just happened, and now I get 4 of their resources. Well, they don't have any, so I can't take those. So that wasn't as good as I thought, but it did expand me, and whatever. I'm growing to the point where, I'm just getting frustrated, mainly because I'm on the fucking camera. I'm trying to point things out and shit like that. Otherwise, I would have rewound, but no. Point I'm going to make a deal with the Romans, I believe. We only have 3 legions off board. We need to get that up above 6 and have 8 of those. So we're pretty far. Our deal is we will let you walk through with these guys to get into Balgica if you do a march action. And we've granted them that right. We can't withdraw it in mid-action and sabotage them or anything. Once you can make deals that you break, but not at the moment of the action. So at the moment of the action, the Romans are saying, well, if I take a move, will you stop me with this? And I can choose a different action if they, or a different location to march to, if they decide that they don't agree with that. I don't have enough forces to really launch a safe attack here, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe I do. What the fuck? It's so hard to fucking keep in mind the game when you walk away for so long. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20. I do have enough to do quite a bit. 2, 3, 4, 20 means 10, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They'd be able to do a little bit of damage back, conceivably. Not enough to hit any of the legions. I don't know whether or not I can cheat them once they decide to do a movement. I don't feel like fucking looking it up. Just really don't care anymore. I was having a great time before I came up here, where it's hard for me to get to play and where it's hard for me to And before I started doing shit on video, I was having a great time. I was sitting on the floor. I open up the rules, read them the way I used to play, you know? And I don't know. I just think I'm not suited to video anymore. But you know, if they make an agreement and break it, it may not be to their best interests. They would kind of like to see the Bell Guy destroyed. So I'm going to trust them on it, and I think they're going to allow me. So we'll be pushing through and launching that launching that move. Preparing for winter, we built this. That'll reduce our costs a little bit. We're definitely going to build the fort. The question was whether we take away a Bell Guy ally. We've got enough force here to wipe the Bell Guy out of there if they don't do something about it. Slightly better mood until I fuck something up. And yeah, this is why people don't want to play with me. I get just as frustrated when I'm playing opposed and I start fucking things up. Especially if I start cheating, you know, whether for or against me. We're on the Bell Guy, and they're going to be taking a full action. The question for them, though, is they have to worry about whether they want to do something about the risk to all their units there. And this is always the kind of problem they face in Coin. Or if they want to do a broader, hey, build up a lot of troops, because I control this, I can start grabbing some of those, well, that region there. These others, I can build up some units in. This is, of course, expensive, and I may not have enough money to be worth it there. And here, you know, I can get one more piece. But all of this becomes a severe risk, whereas if I do a move action, I can pull my forces down. But then I'm kind of weak. Winter is coming. I don't know how many cards there are. I think it's somewhere between 10 and 15 before winter, so I'm expecting winter fairly soon, which is definitely one thing to consider. I feel like I need to try and defend my forces. The Averni chose to pass so that they get first action on this. This is an important card for them. It could do a lot of damage to them down in Gergovia. I do not want this event to fall into Roman hands, and probably even less into a Dewey hands. They really want to get us reduced, because they've got to make sure nobody's got a lot of allies, and I've got a lot of allies. The question is, do I want the full event, or do I want to just take a single action? I do like this event. The Averni can do some stuff down in the Averni region, which isn't going to help much. But then I get a free rally within one region of Vercingetorix, whatever, which hits all. That's going to hit 4 different areas. That's pretty cool, especially since I'm low on money. So I think I'm going to take the event. That does allow the Dewey, though, to get a bonus action, their special ability. With the Gauls, the Bell Guy coming in and trying to defend themselves here against the Romans. The colony card came up. It's too valuable a card to pass up, so we took the event. That got us in here, got us a couple more points, but that allowed the Romans to take a full event, which meant they could do a battle and a bonus. They would have been able to do the battle anyway. The basic question was, would the Bell Guy get their battle off first? It looked like it was a 50-50 shot, but this card, you know, would have given them the right to get the battle off first, but instead adding that extra location seemed more valuable. Now that extra location is kind of weird. It means there's more good stuff near, I counted this already, near the Bell Guy, and we've got an edge into here, and that's why I wanted to do it. But it also means there's an extra area that Rome can control, and Rome has a certain number of points that they want to get to, and the colony just increases the total number of areas available. Anyway, the Bell Guy had to retreat, because otherwise they would have lost their leader. You know, they're significantly knocked down. And that'll bring us to this next card. And let's see, is winter here yet? Yeah, finally. Action-wise, the Averni chose not to take this event, in part because the Adui are their main opponent, also because they kind of had a mistaken impression that the Adui might take the event, but the Adui don't want this event at all, in any sense of the word. So they took it to do, I don't remember what, I think, damn it. No, I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was a rally and an entreat, building up their forces a little bit more. Maybe mistaken because it ended up there, so rally may not be what I actually did. No, I don't know. I might have done a raid, but my money doesn't seem to have gone up enough. Yes, it had to be a rally. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I'm wondering if I actually took a main action. That's the big question here, but it's too hard to figure out at this point. Anyway, the Adui did not want this event, not good for them, and ended up doing a limited event and rallying. Probably in too many places. No, not rallying here, because that filled out their hand. Okay. Normally they wouldn't take that event if the next card was usable by them, but it's not. So let me swap these out, but whatever. It's winter. It doesn't make a difference. And nobody should be at victory. I can do a quick recount, but I'm pretty sure nobody, I just did a count, so I'm pretty sure nobody's there. And then we'll do the Germans. And this did not happen in, you should all be revealed, but don't worry about it. This did not happen in my prior playing. The Belgai really kind of neutered the Germans. Here, they're doing a lot of damage to both the Belgai and to the Adui. The Belgai have the advantage of being able to use the Germans somewhat. I felt like I was giving up one of my advantages in order to protect myself, but here I'm beginning to see, you know, I haven't been using that German advantage. It's hard to use effectively, and damn, they're hurting me. This is the board state at the end of that winter. We can send this video up. The Romans not gotten to enough victory points, so Caesar is being judged poorly. Luckily, he doesn't need to get legions back. He did go back to Provence, grab some more warbands. That's always a hard call because he'd be so much more useful. He's very useful here, but the fact that the Averni moved all their forces together here, hey, that means we can kind of gather. There's an opening here if we get the jump on movement, which it turns out we will. We can set ourselves up so that we've got the entire Roman army settled here at Alesia, which is kind of cool. Or most, you know, whatever, maintaining our control there. That's of course assuming that the Belgai take the Germanic horse as the event, which they may not do. This would give them a doubling of enemy losses, though, as long as the defender doesn't have a fort or citadel. So that's pretty potent. But if the Belgai do something else, like grow their army, which is pretty much gone right now, they could end up losing their leader if they're not careful. Then flip these guys over. It's just a mechanical task. Then the Romans are in a position where I can't gather my forces quite as well as I would like to. And then I have to consider, do I want that? Do I want the Balearic Slingers, which are incredibly powerful? And it might be dangerous for me to allow someone else to take this, although less so. This one, This would be 1 loss per auxilia in 1 region per battle command. This one would be 1 region in a battle command. The auxilia there get to be a little bit more powerful. They do a half loss first, but this is per enemy battle command. You become less likely to be attacked as long as your auxilia are there, because they'll hurt the enemy first. This one, however, looks like it goes in either direction. You get to pick 1 region in any given battle command, and your auxilia are worth 1 each. But remember, on defense, usually the attacker is choosing a battle where they can pretty much wipe you out. We have seen some exceptions where some battle losses are traded, but usually the attacker is successful, just because they wouldn't attack if they're not. Roman money was cut into because I'm wintering way up here, not on my supply line. I wasn't able to shift forces down to Provence, where I would have wanted to gather my army. Supply line could conceivably come close if the Dewey wanted to give me that, but they probably don't really want to keep. They don't mind reducing Roman money a little bit. Nobody's really kicking it right now, victory-wise. So the one advantage would be taking the Averni down, and a Roman army might be able to do that a little better. But I got to be careful, because if I give too big a Roman force, they might shoot their victory points way up and be able to win by next winter. One thing that I kind of like about this one compared to the balance in most of the others is you have to make some kind of planning decisions. It's not all purely opportunistic. So, for example, in the winter phase, and in some of the actions, there are planning activities that you make to say, I may be giving another player an opportunity to win, not on the next turn when it's pretty obvious, and most of the coin games seem to do that, but instead on sometime before the winter, that I'm giving them, enough cash or whatever, because things can swing, I feel, more quickly in this. It's harder to achieve the balance in this game. I'm beginning to be attracted to that. It doesn't fit the normal coin mold that feels too tightly balanced. It feels like it's got a little bit more play in it, a little bit more opportunity that the cards can swing the game, and I prefer that. I'm kind of bored with everything always seems so tightly balanced that as long as players are playing defense, they can prevent the game from going over the victory mark. Certainly saw that a little bit in my first game of it, and I'm starting to feel it again here, where it's not as easy to prevent someone from winning on good card draws or whatever. Let's make this video even longer. That actually makes a lot of sense. The subject matter of most of the coin games is more modern counterinsurgencies, where the balance just never seemed to break. If you look at something like Colombia, damn, man, that just stayed in balance the whole time. You almost feel like the game shouldn't be able to ever end. A Distant Plain, maybe the same thing. A Distant Plain and Fire in the Lake, it's kind of like, once you wear the allies out, that's when the war's over. They're not going to win, and that can be kind of disconcerting or discouraging, actually. Here, though, you had a situation where Rome was either going to be defeated eventually, and they historically won the counterinsurgency, as it were, they were going to be able to wipe out the enemy. You can make reasonings as to why. One reason is they were willing to do things that no modern country has been willing to do. I mean, you have to go to truly horrific circumstances in the 20th century to get to people willing, to get to nations willing to win at counterinsurgencies. And even then, they didn't necessarily have a very good time of it. You know, the Axis did not succeed very well in Yugoslavia in the long run. You know, they would have been able to hold it as long as, you know, their military situation wasn't collapsing elsewhere. The same can be said about Japan and China. They didn't have, they had the appropriate level of inhumanity to win a counterinsurgency, and the Romans certainly did that, but they also had the additional factor that they could only commit as much as they couldn't afford to commit what they even did commit. You know, this was an annoyance no matter what to much bigger plans that were in play. And for Rome, that's not the case. Here, no, you don't have the whole Roman army facing here, but you have enough. This is a major, major facet of what the triumvirate was working on. All right, let's send this sucker out.